All right. Hey, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of Pete Carroll Was Right, the confusingly named Alabama football live show. As always, I am Carter, and that is Mitch, and we are here to talk all things Alabama football with you. Well, I gotta say, not that it's surprising because it was in Bryant Denny, and things go as planned there generally, but like, it's very nice when an Iron Bowl goes as expected.
Yeah, just a Seth Williams drop touchdown away from basically right on expected scoreline. I think
Yeah.
it was, Mac was kind of vintage 2020 Mac. I felt like he had not had his best games coming into this, but he was just excellent in the pocket.
Yeah, and even early
Accuracy,
when they were a little off on some of the shots, like it mostly was not him. And then
yeah.
after that, they really got it dialed in, and it was basically perfect. Um, they made Bo Nix look like Bo Nix, which is deeply
hmm
pleasing after last year.
Yeah, I mean, Bo's best play of the game was probably a game-saving touchdown tackle, maybe.
Yeah, pretty much.
A
uh,
game-saving touchdown saving
yeah.
tackle. Yeah.
It was very nice to see the defense come out, especially like the defensive line come out on like the first couple series and just like really set the tone. Like they're just like all just kind of getting after it on the whole. This is kind of like the front seven we kind of thought we would see all year, and it was
hmm
just like it was excellent. They're going really deep on the defensive line. Like Tim Smith is really starting to get a lot of snaps. Like he looks great. But Phil Mathis looks great. Um, Barmore has, and he's been there for a couple weeks, I think. But Barmore is starting to be like the guy we kind of thought he would be. So
Yeah. Yeah, I saw Barmore. I creeped back up into like top five graded defensive tackles on PFF now. Um,
yeah, I can see that.
so that's good. I thought you could kind of tell Tank Bigsby wasn't like 100%. There was a few times he got the edge where, maybe with a little more speed he does something, but like I thought for the most part they did really well,
Yeah,
like containing their
even if
outside
he's fully
runs.
healthy, even if he's fully healthy, they don't get a whole lot more in the running game. Like
Yeah.
not enough to make a difference.
Yeah, and they certainly weren't getting anything from Next because the secondary, aside from maybe the bust on the Seth Williams touchdown, was pretty excellent.
Yeah, like the he had one sequence where he managed a couple of like YOLO 50-50 balls in a row, and like right before the drop touchdown by Williams, he had one where like Bo scrambled and kind of chucked it up, and Williams came back to it and snagged it out of the air. That was really impressive. But like, other than that, they basically got nothing in the passing game, and it was ooh, early today.
That was yeah.
uh,
Apparently last week when it happened, the video cut out too. So hopefully people can still see us.
oh yeah. Uh, but anyway, yeah. Aside
Or
from
not, I don't know.
maybe they just prefer it in like a YouTube podcast format. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, other than that, they basically got nothing in the passing game, and like, I mean, we're now reached the point where like, I mean, like it's not just Pat and Josh. Like, I mean, Malachi's obviously been there for a couple weeks now, but like, I mean, he was fantastic as usual. Obviously had another
Yeah.
interception. Brian Branch had one. Brian Branch who's really starting to look fantastic in that the dime roll, which is not surprising because he was the front runner to be the money early, or front runner to be the star
hmm
early in fall practice. Um, so you're getting to the point where you have like your four, if you're if those four guys are your like main cover guys, and obviously they have the safeties play a fair amount of man in this scheme at times, but like if those are your four guys that are sort of your four corners, if you will, like
hmm
that's really really good, and it's all the more impressive considering the two of them are true freshmen.
Yeah. I think Job is excellent, but it's I mean, he's got to be the best like third quarterback Alabama's had. I mean, like I'm trying to think of
Like, are we, like someone asked me on like Sunday or something. I was like, is he like up there with Minka now?
yeah.
And we're now at the point where it's absolutely a fair comparison. Like,
Hmm.
he's maybe not what Minka was later on, but like true freshman Minka who like exclusively played the star. Like I mean, like Minka was bigger and maybe like straight line faster, but like I don't know that he was better in coverage than this because like
No.
outside of the first week or two, Malachi's basically been perfect,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah. I mean, for
wild.
a guy that didn't have spring practice, like I know they talked about it on, I don't remember if it was this broadcast or the Kentucky game, but it's just like incredible.
Yeah, and like especially with just like the general weirdness of this offseason to begin with, and with no like warm up games, just going straight into SEC play, like it's and for a guy, I mean like Minka with Minka also was not there in the spring and came in and just won the job right away in the fall, but like well he also was like
Oh, I
a
forgot.
five, he was like a 5 star. Like Minka
Yeah.
was expected to be really great, maybe not that great right away, but like
Hmm.
Malcor was not like I don't know, he was like a fringe top 100 guy, which obviously in the grand scheme of things is a very highly rated prospect, but like it's not
Yeah.
that level where you necessarily expect a guy to come in for Alabama and be a stud right away.
Yeah, and like you said before, like we weren't even getting the kind of hype on him that we were getting for like, Will Anderson or whatever. Like it wasn't even super clear that the star job was his,
Yeah,
coming out of fall camp. Like, we knew he was going to start there, but it wasn't like,
yeah,
this
like
hype. So,
because I mean I remember like with Anderson, there were people like on message boards and stuff saying like oh like before they started practice, there were people saying like oh people on the staff were saying he's like the best defensive player on the team right now, which is like obviously hasn't quite lived up to that. Like he's been very good and finally got a sack, which that was a long time coming. But
yeah.
uh, yeah, it was funny. Like I said, I tweeted during the game about Chris Allen, who is now having a really fantastic year and had another great game. Like it kind of seems like the balance has shifted. Like because we talked earlier in the year about how Anderson was not like the way they had him listed on that initial depth chart was correct. Like he was like the starting outside linebacker when they're in
Hmm.
one OLB packages, which they are a fair amount this year. Um, and it was like when they had two, the other guy was Chris Allen. But now like Chris has started to like take back some of those snaps, especially on standard downs, and it's like fully deserved because it's not like Will has been a disappointment unless your bar is like you expected him to come in and get 15 sacks right away. You
Right.
expected him to be
Yeah.
branded chicken right away, but like I mean, Chris has just been playing fantastic, like a lot better than I would have ever expected him to.
His progression since, I mean, I guess really the Ole Miss game. I mean, I don't think it's necessarily correlated to
Right.
like he's been the key to the team's success, but yeah, I think his development there has been awesome. Um,
Yeah, kind of on that Ryan Anderson track of like he contributed early and then kind of disappeared for a little bit, and obviously in Chris's case there was an injury that was a big part of that, but now coming on as what like a redshirt junior and just
that's I was just going to ask. I couldn't remember.
yeah. He was because he was a true freshman in 2017 when the first year they had all the outside linebacker injuries and he had to play a bunch that year. And then he
Okay.
tore his ACL the next year in 2018, and he was
Right.
back last year, but didn't. They obviously didn't sub out Anthony or Terrell that much, so didn't get a whole lot of playing time.
Yeah. I mean, Helms made a few plays too.
Yeah, and I noticed because I mean, to the extent that they had Bus on Saturday in the secondary, it was Daniel Wright. It was
Watch you for a second.
there we go. They had like I think it was Daniel Wright with the bust on the Williams almost touchdown. And it
Hmm.
did seem like they got Helms in for some reps at safety before they rotated everybody else out. So
Yeah.
I'll be interested to see if that is sort of a thing going forward. Because I mean, I don't know. Like even with the improvement that he's had, like it's in the full like 6-man DB package, like Daniel is kind of the weak link at this point, and that's if he's playing like he's capable of playing and in
Yeah.
the right spot and making the right decisions, like that is not that bad a place to be. Like when he's playing well, like I don't know, he's not worse than what like 2016, 2017 when they had Hootie Jones in that 6 DB spot. Like I mean, granted he's on the field all the time, which is a little different, but like I don't know, is he a considerably worse player than like Jared Baden?
Yeah. I mean, I think his problem is, I mean, at least, maybe this is just because I remember these plays more, but I mean, he just tries to make the play and kind of gets caught out of position. Like he bit, Seth Williams on that would-be touchdown, kind of made it inside move real quick, and he tried to jump it, and that's what
Yeah,
opened up downfield. So
like he just gets
I don't
over
know.
aggressive
Like,
at times.
yeah, which I'd rather that be the problem than him just like not be talented enough, or like not. It's not that he doesn't know what he's doing. He's just like kind of being over aggressive, I think.
He just like yeah, like he knows what he's doing. He just like makes mistakes,
Yeah.
if that makes sense. Like there's a difference between I don't know someone who's just like a freshman who's been forced into action and clearly like doesn't really know everything they're supposed to do and they're having to kind of pare it down. He just I don't know. And like, hey, if Helms ends up better and passes him in practice and they like him better, then fine, like go for it. I think he's a good player, and the
Yeah.
if there's an improvement in the secondary from what they have now, then that's fantastic because like we've already been over how well the corners are all playing, and then Jordan Battle's been fantastic lately. So like if one safety is just pretty good, like okay to pretty good, then that's a pretty good situation to be in given how
Yeah.
good the rest of them are. So
Yeah. I mean, they've got 2 more weeks before anything they do matters. So I mean, they can
plenty of time to
play.
experiment the next 2 weeks because neither of these teams is going to like. I can't believe how bad. I mean, I can because with everybody opting out and Brennan getting hurt and stuff, but like, man, LSU is a train wreck right now. Like, good God.
Yeah. I haven't even looked. What's the line this week? I've
It's like
20.
30.
Is it?
Is it maybe?
Oh, 30.
Last I saw it was like 29 and a half, maybe.
Okay, that kind of makes sense because I did look today and we had like Auburn 5 points better in FPI, so I guess that
Yeah,
tracks.
it's. I think it opened at like 28 and has gone up since then.
Yeah. Could be one of those where if they mail it in, it could be even worse. But
Which it kind of well, like their defense was pretty good against A&M, who I don't know doesn't have that great of an offense, and also it was like in a pouring rainstorm, and also
mhm.
Jimbo runs the slowest offense in the country. But I don't know, their defense seemed okay, and they still have. I think like they've been hit harder on offense, obviously with the opt outs and Brennan, and now like one of their senior one of their senior receivers, the wonderfully named Ray C. McMath, uh, is out as well, and then so they're down to like Eric Gilbert and Keishon Butte, who are both true freshmen, who are good players that Alabama both wanted, but like those guys being thrown to
Yeah.
by T.J. Finley or Max Johnson is not a recipe for success against Alabama, especially this as well as the defense is playing lately.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean the thing about LSU is like I'm kind of on board with the expectation being that Alabama's favored by more. But I guess like the ceiling for LSU might be a little bit higher than it was for Auburn. Like if LSU comes out and is like super motivated motivated for this thing, and like they still have more talent than Auburn does.
Yeah, I think so. But like,
Yeah, but we'll see.
I don't know. At this point, it's hard not to feel like they haven't mailed it in because it just like the way everything's
Yes,
gone.
yeah,
And I would be very surprised if this isn't just like an absolute blowout. Because like
I
I don't know,
think yeah,
as much as it's not as satisfying as it would have been to even get like I don't know, as much talent as they lost, like if this had been the full strength LSU team that they expected to have in the preseason, like that still would have been good to kind of get that one back on them after last year. But and I think the players will still, because like if you don't think
hmm
Saban has, if you don't think they have
yeah,
the clip of Ed Ogeron saying like "Roll Tide, what fuck you," like playing nonstop in the locker room, like yeah, Saban can say like,
yeah,
oh, we don't use revenge as a factor, but it's not like I mean, they put out that graphic for Mac with the game managed pun, and they had Bo Nix in the background of the graphic.
yeah.
So it's not like
Right.
they're above playing the petty games like that. So
Hold on, let me see if getting up my Wi-Fi helps at all. Yeah, I'm like, oh, we haven't even talked about the fact that Saban wasn't even coaching the team Saturday.
oh yeah,
I mean, I don't know that there's real. I mean, I don't know if there's really much to talk about, but I I did. I don't think they ran much more man than they did in any other game, and they
Pete
and
was finally free.
and Sark certainly didn't let Bryce sling it like we were hoping.
Yeah, and Alex Leatherwood betrayed us again and just decided to give up a sack. Like what? So
Just
disappointed.
take off a different rep. I mean, if you're gonna take a
I
rep
know,
off,
like Max wearing those like body armor pads, right? Like he could take a hit, man. Like just take the last snap with Mac in off. Like he'll be fine. Bryce is a little guy. Like he needs you to protect him a little more.
yeah.
So disappointed.
Sark is excellent though. Like I
Yeah.
know, like the offense they have this year is just outstanding. I saw Seth Galina like describe this offense as like uh what did he say? No, I forgot. It was something like I mean what was, do you remember the quote, the tweet? It was something about an NFL offense.
Man, I'm not sure I saw this one. I have to sneakily pull up his Twitter now.
It was something more than just Alabama runs an NFL offense.
Well, yeah, because they don't, right? Because I mean, there's obviously NFL elements to it, but now they have this incredibly advanced RPO package. This it's funny to me because I feel like I've seen so much this year of people saying like, "Oh, I'm so glad we don't run those RPOs as much. Like the offense is better without them," and or then you suggested like, "Oh, when Bryce is the quarterback, they'll do that more because like he's good at that." And they're like, "Oh, I don't want to go back to like the RPO offense." And first of all, that's ridiculous. And if they're not doing as much of it this year, it's because it's less suited to Mac's skill set than it was to Tua's, and also they have two and now one first round receiver out there instead of four. But the thing is, they're still running a lot of RPOs. They're just running different ones, and you don't necessarily recognize them as RPOs first, which again, like I don't generally recognize them as RPO. This is not like you're stupid, you don't know football. This is just like the way people watch the game. And there's
Mm-hmm.
like only so many people are going to notice the RPOs that aren't like the really, really obvious ones, like the inside zone slant stuff they used to always run the Tua. Like
Yeah.
they don't do that nearly as much, but like that play to John Mechie that they broke down on that Saban had the clip breaking down, like that was an RPO. Like they have a bunch of this
Mm-hmm.
stuff. They're doing all this stuff like the stuff Oklahoma State used to do that's like second level RPOs where you're reading a safety and they build in all this stuff. It's like stuff that Lincoln Riley runs like minus the run option where there's just like tags built off the tags, just like it's really, really high level stuff and it's incredible from both a design and like a play calling, sequencing, counter punching type perspective. What Sark is doing with it, like
Yeah, I remember what the quote was. I can't find it, but I remember what it was. Essentially, like there's so many layers to this thing. It's an offense that you can basically only run with NFL personnel at like every position.
yeah,
Just because of like how much is going on and like needing somebody like Mac to be able to like manage it and everything.
yeah, like you need the receivers to be as good as they are to do all of the things they do to draw as much attention as they do to make the catches they do all this stuff. You need Mac to be able to make those throws and make the right reads and get them the ball
Mhm.
downfield and get away from pressure. You need an NFL offensive line to keep him upright for like 4 seconds at a time while they run double moves and all this downfield
Yeah.
stuff. And like
You
they
need an NFL running back to run those 2nd and 10 runs that keep the offense moving.
But yeah, like you can't do like it's a ton of stuff like the I remember I saw a breakdown of last year against South Carolina when they had that touchdown pass to Najee on 4th down where he like planted the guy in the turf and stuff like that.
Hmm.
That was like that was mesh basically, except that one of the crossing routes was replaced by Najee running like a halfback angle route out of the backfield. Like it was, this year the entire offense is just built out of stuff like that. It's like normal enough concepts, but he's just built these layers and wrinkles into them that like nothing by itself is incredibly new or weird. Like they're not reinventing the concept of offense here, but they're just like they love like a like mesh with a wheel route off it and all of these second level RPOs and it just I don't know it's
Yeah.
really fun to watch.
There was that little there was that play where they kind of like faked a bubble screen and he turned around and then pitched it to Najee. I mean, the play didn't work out very well.
Yeah,
Um, I had never seen anything like that before. I don't know that that was. It may have been like a pre-snap read. I don't think it was like a.
yeah. Because if it was a true post snap RPO, like I think Ben pointed this out on Twitter, but like if it was a true like post snap RPO, like the screen had the numbers. Like you should have thrown the bubble because like they
Right.
were it was like they had the blockers and it was like 3-on-2 to that side. And if you throw it to Devontae, it's like an easy first down.
Yeah, it's like it's something they were maybe putting on tape for something else later. I don't know. Um, yeah. Anything else about Auburn? Auburn missed a field goal against Alabama.
Yeah. I thought like we finally got earlier this year someone missed a field goal against Alabama after it didn't happen for more than a year. And then I was like, someday an Auburn kicker will miss a field goal. And lo and behold, Anders Carlson decided to indulge me.
Uh, I don't. I don't remember. Yeah, I don't remember anything else.
Yeah, I think that's about it. It was very satisfying. Uh, for LSU, I mean, I don't know. There's a whole lot more to say. It could be interesting what they like when they're on defense. It could be interesting because they have. I mean, obviously Stingley is still a really great cornerback. And in the beginning of the year, Eli Ricks, the freshman, was like outplaying him. And I don't think
Hmm.
Stingley was really quite himself at that time, but I think he's gotten a little better as the season has gone on. But I don't know that they really have a whole lot anywhere else in the secondary. And they lost a lot of depth on the defensive line, and like the Jabril Cox, the North Dakota State, I think transfer linebacker has
Hmm.
been pretty good lately, but there's just not like it might be a game where I don't know if they have to kind of scheme up a little bit more in the passing game because like I don't know. Devontae will get open against anyone, but like I don't know. If you're LSU, you probably like the matchup of like Ricks on Mechie. So
Hmm. Yeah,
I
he's
don't know.
saying like
Big
maybe just
Jaleel
have.
Billingsley game.
Yeah, just have like you think they'll just have Stingley just shadow Devontae?
Yeah, I don't know. That was I never actually got. I don't know what they do as far as like obviously Pelini likes to play a lot of man, but I don't know if they play sides or like field boundary or
Hmm.
if they have him shadow. I would suspect that they don't with how good Ricks is, but I don't know if like if Devontae's in the slot, are they going to have one of those guys move into the slot on him, or are they going to risk having their nickel guy try to cover Devontae?
Um, yeah, I mean, I think the defensive side of the ball probably has higher potential for playing over expectation. Um,
Yeah, because they haven't really lost any talent in season from there. Like obviously they had some opt outs on the line and stuff like that, but for the most part, they are as they were early in the year, which the results weren't great, obviously, but they've been playing a
mhm.
little better over the last, I don't know, past couple games, I think. But yeah, it'll all depend on how invested they are in not getting blown out in this one. Um, whereas like on the offense, like they even compared to what they were in the Missouri or Mississippi State games, like they're just like no Marshall, no Brennan,
Mhm.
like I don't know, and the running backs they have now are not like none of them holds a candle to Edwards Alaire, so they're just I don't know, they're not getting a whole lot there. Like
I think they had a grad transfer come in at center or something, but
yeah, don't they have
I
like
mean,
an Ivy League transfer at one of the offensive line positions? It's like a kid from
yeah,
Yale or
that might be
something.
him. Yeah, you think it's Liam? My guess is it's the guy named Liam.
I think it is, yeah.
Harvard.
Yeah, there we go. Man, Cambridge to Baton Rouge must be a hell of a culture shock. I mean, maybe not as
Uh,
weird as like KJ Costello going from Palo Alto to Starkville,
yeah,
but up there.
yeah, certainly, yeah, yeah. Columbus to Baton Rouge was probably a much easier transition.
Yeah, yeah. But I don't know. The offensive line is I don't know, not horrible, but they're nothing special. So
Yeah, I mean, looking at the like, I don't really know much about their team, but like looking at the R lads page, I mean, it's not a lot of guys that are projected to do well in the draft. So
yeah. So I don't know. It's there could have been a lot of juice to this one, even based on what they had earlier in the season. But now it's I don't know. I don't think there's a whole lot to say here, just because with where this team is right now in terms of personnel, like it's just there's no reason to think this is anything other than a bloodbath.
do we know? I mean, are we expecting Arkansas next week? And it just hasn't been announced yet, or
Yeah, I would assume.
okay. Have any do you like the line on this one? Do you want
Yeah, because I feel like if it gets up there, like it's either gonna be like I don't know, they buy in and it's like surprisingly close. I mean, if it gets to be like 28, it's gonna be 35 or more. I think. I don't think there's any room here for like a medium blowout. Like it's like this isn't going to be like a 20 to 25 points kind of thing. It's going to be like a 35-point thing, I think. So, yeah, I would probably like what's the over under?
I'm pulling it up right now. I mean, the only way I could see it kind of being a medium blowout is if, for whatever reason, it's like ugly in the first half.
Yeah, if the defense plays
And
well and they get like I don't know, the Finley kid has a huge arm, so maybe like Gilbert makes a huge play or something like that. So they get a couple easy scores and Alabama bumbles around for a little bit on offense and the defense plays well. Like it could go into the half close in that case and then take a little while for Alabama to pull away. But I think it's just as likely that things snowball early and
so it's,
get out of control fast.
yeah, 29 is the line, 67 is the over under,
Okay, so that's what like
48-19.
yeah.
Yeah,
I would sort of be surprised if they score that much.
I think I would be too.
Like, I would guess more like 49-13 thereabouts.
Oh, you were saying if LSU scored that much.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't think LSU is going to score that much. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, they needed the. I mean, granted, it was A&M at the pace they're playing, but like, they almost got shut out by A&M. And unless they're, I don't know, it's all going to be about how motivated they are. And if they're not like fully bought into this game, like it's, I don't think they, I don't think they're going to score that much. So
I don't think. I mean, I think they're probably in the 13-14 range, and Alabama's in like the low 40s.
yeah, I could say like 45-10, something like that.
Yeah. Anything nationally?
I don't know how do we feel about Ohio State? Like if they're like okay, they are going to play this weekend. So they'll be 5-0 assuming they beat Michigan State. Like let's say they lose Michigan cuz it looks like Michigan's probably not going to be able to play next weekend. That would mean they couldn't play the Big 10 championship game. And then what you
Right.
ironically it might be cuz like they might end up playing like Wisconsin in the like Big Ten's like 1-1-2-2 that type of thing. And
Yeah.
that honestly might be a better win than Northwestern. So
So it's
like,
it's it's definitely like there's
yeah,
there's we looked at it and their strength of record is way better if their game next week gets canceled. Um, yeah, I think they're fine. I mean, I don't think it's a big deal that they don't because in the championship, who would it be? Northwestern and Indiana
Indiana,
with that,
yep.
and Northwest. They both have one loss.
I think Indiana has two because they
Indiana
just
has
lost
two.
to Maryland. Yeah.
Yeah, so highly unlikely that the winner of the championship game
Oh yeah,
would
that's
have
not happening.
have less than two losses. Um, so yeah, I think Ohio State's fine. It's just a matter of like where they end up maybe. Um, so do we root for? Are we rooting for Cincinnati to get in at this point? Cincinnati or BYU? Do we
Yeah, I
want?
think so. Like, I mean, I don't know. Even I'm excited to see like the BYU Coastal Carolina thing is great, but like with BYU so low, I don't think. I mean, they're not going to get there regardless. I don't see any way that's possible. But like,
I think there's a chance. I, Playoff predictor gives them a decent chance.
so like, what's
Actually,
what's the path there?
A&M has. I think they need A&M to lose another game, and they need Notre Dame to beat Clemson. So
And
then,
and that gets BYU all the way up from like 14.
and they need and then they need Cincinnati to lose. I mean, Cincinnati's still ahead of them if Cincinnati wins out. But I don't know. Like, I don't like the playoff predictor doesn't really predict like a stand. Like, it doesn't predict standings. It's just like probability to be in the top four. Given
Yeah,
BYU would be 11-0.
I think
think.
so.
Are they going to end up with 11 games? So they would be 11-0 against a bunch of 10-0, like 4-0, 6. Well, Ohio State would be 6-0, I think, by the end. Notre Dame would have a spot. And so then you'd have like, assuming if Cincinnati wins out, I don't think BYU has a shot. So we would be assuming it would the competition would be one loss Cincinnati, whatever the Pac-12 winner would be, which would still only be like a 6-0
Yeah,
USC.
I don't think that's happening regardless. Like,
2-loss Clemson, who would have lost to Notre Dame twice.
okay,
2-loss A&M.
say Notre Dame beats Clemson, Alabama beats Florida, Ohio State wins out, but is not like they not Big Ten, like 6-0, not Big Ten champion. Actually, well, I guess in that case you'd be all right. So say Clemson beats Notre Dame. So like your first three are probably Alabama, Clemson, Notre Dame, and then you've got 6-0 Ohio State, 9-1 Texas A&M, and what 11-0 Cincinnati.
So yeah,
like I don't know who's four then.
Yeah, that's a good. That's probably their toughest scenario at this point.
Yeah, because like you can't put A&M in there, right? Like nobody wants to see that. Nobody thinks that's a thing that should happen, right?
So A&M is what, 6 right now?
5.
5. Okay, so Notre Dame probably wouldn't drop behind. Like they would probably still be behind Notre Dame, I would think, even after Notre Dame. Yeah, I don't think it really comes down to. It's just like a big test of how much do we actually care about conference championship, right? Because you would have Cincinnati, which would have one. Ohio State would have like a quasi conference, not an official conference championship, but kind of a quasi conference championship, and then you've got A&M, which would have no claim at all to it.
Yeah, and then like I also think there's still a factor of like it has to count at some point that Ohio State only played 6 games. Like, yeah, it's not their fault, but like sure, you maybe say their schedule was still harder than Cincinnati's, although they didn't exactly face any world beaters in the Big Ten to the extent that there are any others this year. And like they haven't really looked that dominant, other than against like Nebraska.
But like there's just the thing, like the way that it's just so like they're only going to have off 1 week. So unless during that 1 week that they don't play, you just slide them back 4 or 5 spots, like I don't see how you can really punish them for it.
Yeah, I don't know. And then, well, like, does Cincinnati get like a conference championship bump for having?
Yeah, I think that could happen, but it won't. But again, it won't be because of the number of games. Like,
yeah, I'm sort of hoping for that. I'm hoping for like make them make that one really hard choice.
I think that's kind of chalk at this point, right? Clemson beating Notre Dame, Cincinnati winning out, Ohio State not being able to play in the championship game.
Yeah, like I mean that's like Alabama beats Florida, Clemson beats Notre Dame, Ohio State wins out but doesn't win the Big Ten championship. Cincinnati wins out, A&M wins out. Like that's the probability of all 5 of those happening is probably not greater than 50%, but like those are all the expected results at this point. So it would not be shocking at all. I mean, that's probably the most likely scenario, I guess, if not the like majority, like greater than even odds. But
I feel like this would have been a really easy 18 playoff year.
yeah,
But
they were never gonna let that cat out of the bag, because once it's out, it's never going back in.
I don't understand. It's more games, it's more money.
Be
Like,
so
and
much
it doesn't,
money. Be so much money.
like, you can have Oklahoma back in it, right? Oklahoma's back in it, or Iowa State, whoever the two lost Big
Yeah,
12 champ. Um, you're guaranteed to get, the best or second best Big Ten. You for sure have like Cincinnati, um, probably BYU if BYU won out.
yeah. Like it's not. It would be a very easy setup, I think, and
Yeah,
I don't know. Seems like a simple thing, but when has college football from the top down, to the extent that there is ever a top down, when have they ever done the logical thing? So, but yeah, okay. I think that's probably it for us this week. We will be back to in this weird like. It just feels like we're sort of in a holding pattern until the SEC championship game,
yeah,
because there's like they're not going to lose either of these games. Like
yeah.
just
And the
just
only
like
the only develop
knock on wood that nothing disastrous happens. But like
yeah, the only developments will be injuries. Like that that would be terrible. So let's hope it's another boring, not a lot to talk about next week.
yeah, extremely. Okay, well we'll see y'all next week, and roll tide.
All the time.